Hello everyone. Here we will discuss about what questions can be asked in interview related to agile methodology. These questions can be asked in manual testing as well as in your BA. Okay. Now the very first question here is what is agile and what are different types of agile methodology. So agile, it is an iterative approach of software development and software delivery that builds software incrementally from start of the project. Okay, here what we do, we divide the project into smaller parts and we continuously deliver each and every part one by one. We are not delivering whole product as one, we are delivering the parts. We are working the iterations, one iteration, the second iteration. So it's an incremental and a iterative way of developing and deploying a software. Now, what are the different types of agile methodology? So here you can see we have Agile Scrum methodology, lean software development, Kanban, extreme programming, Crystal, and some more. Okay. So first of all, here we will see what can be, what is this, what are these different types of methodologies and why they are used. So very first one here we have it is Agile Scrum methodology. Okay. So Scrum is Agile development method which concentrates especially on how to manage tasks within a team-based development environment. Here, some bunch of activities, some functionality is taken, okay, and it is considered as one scrum. So all the features are divided into different scrums, and by deciding how much time each scrum will take, we plan a sprint and we start working on sprint. So this is how Scrum works. Now the next one here we have is lean software development. Okay, so lean software development, it's another one, it's quite lenient than others, and here it is focused on just in time production. It aims at increasing speed of software development and decreasing the cost. Here we eliminate different types of waste actually. Okay, we eliminate waste like some code waste, unnecessary code, some time waste, and a different type of waste we need to eliminate here. Here we amplify the learning. Here we provide early delivery, and here we decide as late as possible. Okay, so this is our lean software development. The next one in our list is Kanban. So Kanban, it's more like Scrum, but here the way of working it's quite different. Okay, now in Kanban, it's basically a Japanese word. Okay, it's a framework, and here you don't have any particular team size, and here you also don't have any sprint. You just start pulling the requests and you start working on them and provide them. Nothing is decided here. So it's Kanban. Next one is extreme programming. Okay, extreme programming is the one in which we have various phases, and it's very helpful when there is a constantly changing demand. If your requirements are changing with time, then you can use extreme programming. Here we have frequent releases, okay, of the product in short development cycles, which inherently improve the productivity. Okay, that is, we divide whole process into short cycles, and if our requirements are changing, we can implement them in the short cycles. So that's why it's useful. Now in this methodology, the releases are based on shorter cycle called iteration, and these iterations can be of 14 days. Okay, each iteration includes phases like this normal phases, coding, testing, and everything. Okay, and after that it is deployed. So in 14 days we can deploy the first iteration. So this is how it works. Now the next one here is Crystal. Okay, so Crystal methodology is basically based on three terms, three categories or three concepts you can say. First is chartering, the second one is cycling, and the third one is wrap up. In chartering, various activities involved in this phase are creating a development team, okay, and performing some important feasibility analysis and analyzing and planning the things and preparing an environment for development. Then the second component here is cyclic delivery. The main development phase consists of 2 or more delivery cycles here. Okay, so here your team actually start working on any product, and team updates and refines the release plan, and they'll work on it and they'll release the product. And the third one, wrap up. The activities performed this phase are deployment, into the user environment. Okay, so once in your cyclic delivery, your final product is ready, it is wrap up and it is provided to the outside world. So these are all different methodologies, and the very famous are Scrum. Okay, very famous are this Scrum and Kanban. Let's see. Next question here is, tell us overall flow of Agile Scrum methodology. So see, in Agile Scrum, what are the components that we have? First of all, each iteration of Scrum is known as sprint. That is some particular duration of time, 4 weeks. Okay. Product backlog, it's a list in which you keep all the user requirements. Then during each sprint, top items of product backlog are selected and turned into sprint backlog. Now, team works on the defined sprint backlog. Team checks for the daily work. At the end of the sprint, team delivers product functionality. Okay, so this is how your Scrum works. Now, here we have various phases. Like first of all, it goes to planning a meeting, then execution of sprint task, then daily stand-up where we have to discuss what is done and what is left, how much time it's taking, then review meeting, then retrospective meeting where you decide what should be the next priority, what are the other things. So these are the different, you can say, different phases of a Scrum methodology. Now, what can be the better example for this? Here you can see, let's take an example. The very first step will be when you're actually working on Scrum. Let's have a Scrum team. We are having a Scrum team of around 5 to 9 people, okay, in which you definitely have a product owner, a Scrum master, developers, testers, whatever, okay. And you decide the sprint to be of 4 weeks. The second step is we need to decide the sprint size, that is 4 weeks, okay. So we have actually 1 month. Now the product owner has the prioritized list of user stories in the backlog. Okay. Then the team decides to make a meeting, to plan a meeting. Okay, that is known as pre-planning, and in which the product owner takes one story from the product backlog, describes it, leave it to the team to brainstorm it. Then complete team will discuss on it. They will communicate. They will come to the conclusion, and like this, meeting will be over, and they can conclude how to work on it. Okay, now what they will discuss in this meeting, like total number of working hours that they have. Let's assume they have 9 working hours. Okay, now they need at least 1 hour as break, minimum 1 hour. Okay, so now working hours are 8 only. Now if they need 1 hour for emails and discussions and troubleshooting, 1 hour for emails, 1 hour for discussion and all this, like this, we can assume actually we have only 6 hours. Okay, and our sprint duration is, we are working 5 days in a week. Okay, so total number of working days in a month will be, let's assume, 21 days, and we are working 6 hours per day. So total overall we have 126 days. So like this, we have to calculate how much work we are actually doing, how much time we have, and every hour what's the progress. So this is what is discussed here. Now once this discussion is done, the entire Scrum team meets for planning meeting, the actual meeting. That was pre-meeting. Now in this meeting, the final user story from the product backlog is done, and the story is moved to the sprint backlog. Here, after the discussion, the backlog, from the backlog, the user stories are picked and they are kept into the sprint. Okay. Now once the sprint has started, your sprint has started now, what you can do, based on the task assigned, each team member starts working on this. This is your next step. Now next step after this is the team meets daily for 15 minutes where they will discuss what did they do yesterday, okay, what they plan to do today, and any other implementation, any milestone, any bug, anything which is stopping their work. So that will be discussed in the next step. Okay. Now after this, the Scrum Master tracks the progress on daily basis, the burn down chart and everything. So that's the complete flow of, you can say, Agile Scrum. Now the next question here is, explain the following terms here. First one is product owner. So product owner is the one who creates product backlog, prioritize the backlog like user stories and all, and is responsible for the delivery of the functionality at each iteration. This is known as product owner. Scrum Master. Master is responsible for setting up the team, sprint meetings, and remove obstacles to the progress. And Scrum team. In Scrum team, you can have 5 to 9 members. Members can be DBA, QA, developer, a product manager, and team manages its own work and organizes the work to complete the sprint or cycle. Okay. Now, the next question is how many weeks your sprint most of the time lasts? So it's 4 weeks mostly. How many members are participating in your sprint team and their role? See, in your sprint team, you can have 3 to 9 members, and the members can be a QA team, okay, quality assurance, your developers, business analyst, DBA, and project manager, product owner. So all these people will be part of your team. Now, what was your role in the team? Based on your work, you can say you were QA, okay. What is burn down chart? So burn down chart, it's a graphical way by which you can show how much work is left to do versus how much time is left. Okay, so the backlog is often on the vertical axis and the time on horizontal axis. It is useful for predicting when all the work will be completed. Now, what is velocity chart? It means a measure of the amount of accepted work delivered within a time box, within a given time. Agile teams typically use the sum of story points. Story points, that is some expected points which you give to any particular issue based on how much time it will take, how complex it is. Okay, so we keep a sum of story points and we can track those story points like how they are moving. That is known as velocity calculation or velocity charge. Now, Agile Kanban. This question is usually asked, what is Agile Kanban? So it's a simple software tool. Kanban, it's a method for managing the creation of products with an emphasis on continuous delivery while not overburdening the development team. Here, no particular sprint is there, no particular team is there, just people keep on pulling the backlog and they start working on it, okay? And it's much faster and it provides the delivery continuously. What is difference between Kanban and Scrum? See, in Kanban, there is no predefined role for team. Okay. In Scrum, each team member has a predefined role, what they are going to do, and everyone have their own task list. Now, in Kanban, products and processes are delivered continuously on as a need basis. Okay. Here in Scrum, deliverables are determined by sprint. In Kanban, it allows for changes to be made to a project midstream. At any time, you can make changes to your project. But in Scrum, changes during the sprint are not allowed. Okay, those are strongly discouraged. So these are some questions which can be directly asked from Agile.
Hello everyone, welcome back. Here we will see what general questions can be asked related to BA. Okay, now the first question is, what do you think are the key strengths of business analyst? Now this is the same question when it is asked as what are the skills of business analyst. So this thing is given on training portal. So key strengths are good communication skills, good listening skills, thinking on your feet, good analytical skills, good learning skills, interviewing and questioning skills, leadership skills, okay, learning skills, observational skills, organizational skills, considering everyone as one team, interpersonal skills, and some creative skills to find out the better solution, the hard problems also. Okay, so all these are the key strengths of business analyst. Now, next question is, how have you handled difficult stakeholders? Okay, so what are the stakeholders? The stakeholders are the people who are directly involved or indirectly related to your current project, who are affected. Okay, so at times whenever you're working on any project, you may get some very rigid and strict type of stakeholders, which are at that point it's not very easy to convince them for any point. Okay, so in that situation you have to keep certain points in your mind. You should never fight with your stakeholders. Okay, you have to accept their authority. They are the stakeholders. Stakeholder can be your customer or the client or the you can say the students or whatever the crowd you are considering. Okay, you are focusing on. It can be some government policy also. Some, if you are developing a project in which some government policies are involved, so anything that is getting affected by your project will be considered as stakeholders. Okay, so you have to accept the authority and you can never fight with them. Keep in mind, you have to be always calm and polite. You have to remove negative emotions, always show your positivity. Understand their negativity. If they are negative, then what's the reason behind it? If they don't like anything, what can be done? Always ask for their advice and listen to their points. Okay, and show them that they are important and their advice is needed. Be tactful and honest, make them feel good. That is very important when you are dealing with difficult stakeholders. Now, the next question can be asked as define diagrams that are mostly used in BA. So, we discussed so many diagrams, UML diagrams that can be used. It can be like use case diagram, the activity diagram, the complete process flow diagram. Entity relationship diagram is very important, which defines the relationship between all the entities that you are going to use. Okay, so it defines your database completely. You have state transition diagram that will show what are the different states in your project and how is data flowing from one state to another. You can have class diagrams also, where you can put all your classes and the relation between them. So such type of UML diagrams are used in business analyst. Now, how do you resolve issues? Okay, whenever you face an issue, there are a number of ways of resolving it, but there are certain rules that you have to keep in mind. First of all, always be positive to your issues. Okay, and the second point is be patient, be calm, and keep on asking the question. For every issue there is a reason. Okay, and in that reason itself you can find the solution. Let's take an example. You are developing a car. Okay, I'm taking a real-time example. Okay, if that car failed, if there is any issue in the car, okay, then you will ask your team, like, what is the issue? The team will say the car was not serviced on time, that's why there this issue was there. Okay, now such type of things you can ask with your team also. If there is any software work that is not being resolved, you can ask, what's the reason for this bug? Okay, that's the reason why it is not being resolved. What are the things needed to overcome this kind of resolve? So such type of questioning and answering is needed. But here the very important thing is you have to listen to all of your team members, what they are saying, what they think. Then only you can analyze the final point or the final reason, and you can reach to the solution. Okay, so that's how you can resolve the issue. Why is business analyst position vital in an organization? Okay, see, business analyst is very important person. It's somebody who is bridge between the business and the business ideas and the business capabilities. Okay, what you can produce. Okay, now business analyst focuses on creating and scoping valuable changes and optimization to business process. Business analyst can give you a new name, like whatever product you are developing. The business analyst is very responsible person who will first of all see the product how it is, will give shape to that product, and will finally help in developing that product throughout the complete cycle. Okay. Now the next question is, what is the difference between business requirement, functional requirement, and software requirement? Okay. These are also called as business specifications or software specifications. Now, business requirement, what you do is you don't you have to keep everything related to your business. Okay, every information, all the requirements and all the details are kept as business point of view. Okay, in software or in this software requirement specification or document, you keep everything related to software, which version is needed, which browser is needed, what tools are needed, what type of approach, and everything related to your software. Okay, now in functional requirement document, you keep only the functional requirements, the requirements which are directly stated by the user. Okay, so that's the basic difference between business requirement document, functional requirement, or you can say software requirement. Hello everyone, welcome back to BA interview questions. So next topic here is requirement gathering techniques. So first question is, what is requirement? Okay, so a thing that is needed or wanted is called as requirement. In technical terms, you can say a product development and process optimization. A requirement is a singular documented physical or functional need that a particular design, product, or a process aims to satisfy. In simpler terms, you can say it is something which we have to satisfy, that you need to satisfy. Now, the next question is, why we gather requirement. See, you have to collect data from your client, and you have to find out or convert it into the useful information. Okay, that useful information here we called it as customer requirements or the user stories. Okay, now to develop any application we need the information what we are developing, how it should look, and this information we get from our clients or the stakeholders. Okay, so requirement gathering is very important. If you have gathered requirement correctly, then your project will go in the right direction. If there is any bug in your requirement gathering, then complete project will be developed as something different. Okay, it will not be what is expected. Now, what is requirement elicitation? Requirement elicitation, it is the practice for researching and discovering the requirements of a system from users, customers, or other stakeholders. In day-to-day language, it is also called as requirement gathering. Whenever you have to collect all the requirements for your project from different sources. It can be over internet by doing some research, by talking to your stakeholders or clients or whatever. Now, the next question is what type of techniques you use to gather your requirement? Explain in detail. What type of techniques you can use to gather requirements? So you can go for one-on-one interview with your clients and the stakeholders. You can go for a group interview with your team members, what things are needed, what information is left. Okay. And you can go with a meeting with your stakeholders. Okay, questionnaires and surveys, some surveys of previous such softwares, whatever you are developing. Analyzing existing document, you can analyze the approach that you are using. If you want to modify, you can find out where you are lacking, what's the issue, what you can update, and some brainstorming is must. Now, the next question here is when you use one-to-one interview for requirement gathering, when you have to use one-to-one interview. So see, whenever we are just starting our project, we have to talk to our client to get the exact detail what we have to develop. Okay. So to develop a product, we need the information what we are developing. All right. So for that, we have to keep on asking questions. Exactly, a business analyst will have a meeting with our client, with the client or the stakeholder, and this will be a one-to-one interaction where the questions will be asked and based on the answer, the product will be developed. When you use group interview for requirement gathering, okay, when you have a rough overview, okay, you know what you are developing, but you want some discussion on certain points, like you have some suggestion and your suggestion is quite different from what client is asking for. So on certain things you can have a discussion with your complete team or with your customer or clients. When you use brainstorming to gather requirements, see, whenever you are developing something, you always have to use your brain. You have to see how things will go. You should be like what design is the best, which will take the less time and less tools, and it can be developed easily. Okay, so brainstorming is needed every time. So all these questions can be asked from requirement topic. Hello everyone, welcome back to BA interview question and answer. So the next topic here is BA tester role. What is the role of a BA, business analyst? So very important role of business analyst is to work as a bridge between the clients, the non-technical domain, or you can say between the marketing team and the technical team. Okay. Second, the very important role of business analyst is to gather all the requirements from different sources. For this, you have to use different approaches like one-to-one interaction, group discussions. Okay, and business analysts have to participate throughout complete software development lifecycle, like at each phase what is going on, what designs are developed. Okay, now whether the product is going in the right direction or not, whether you will be able to deploy your project in the right time or not, what are the business requirements, the cost of your project, the risk that you can take as a business point of view. Okay, all these things are calculated by a business analyst. Now business analyst will see while working on a project if you are exceeding some limit, if you are taking more risk, if you are investing more time or more money. All these things are controlled by business analyst. If there is any conflict between team members or any you can say bug which is not being resolved, so a business analyst is a person whom you can directly report and who is responsible for the complete project. Okay, the project is delivered correctly as the expectation. Now, the next question is what responsibility you played at your previous workplace as business analyst? If you have any experience of business analysis, that is good. If you don't have, then you can define like I worked as a business analyst, and you can define what are the roles of business analyst. Okay, so you work with your rest of the team members, like you work with your developers, testers, and the project managers. Okay, with your supporting team member, you gathered information from your client, like we need to develop IT Learn 360. So your client was Infotech Solution. Let's take an example. Okay, so what you did, Infotech Solution told you like we need to develop a e-learning portal on which we have to upload all the courses. Okay, and the courses should be in the form of videos, and the theoretical lectures, the PDFs will be there. So we need good storage, we need good response. Okay, and this project is more like e-learning, okay, self-paced project. So all these requirements are given by some IT Learn 360 Infotech Solution, and you have to gather them point by point. Okay, now after that, you deliver this information to your team members, the testers team, and you can say the QA manager or the developer team lead. You will discuss the things, and you will start. If you are working on Agile, you can say we worked on Agile. If you have good command over Agile, you can say in first sprint we worked, it was 4 weeks, and we worked on this functionality. Any functionality you can name, and sprint by sprint we kept on increasing the courses. First of all, we just developed the platform, and then we started adding the courses, and still it's going on. All right, so like this you can explain. So that is the role played by you as a BA person. Why BA role is critical? See, BA role is very critical because it's the BA job starts at the very first level of your software development. So very first phase of software development is requirement gathering. And business analyst is a person who is responsible to gather requirements. Okay. So in this view, the BA role is very critical. If your requirements are gathered correctly, then you will develop the right product. Now, if you are facing any problem, or whenever we have to calculate the how much risk your company can take, how much amount to spend, which tools to use, okay, which are long-term tools and where you can save time and money, how many team members are needed. So all these things are decided by a business analyst. From business point of view, in how much time this product will be done, it's a bridge between, you can say, the what business aims, okay, what they will get from business point of view. So that's why BA role is very critical and very important. Now this BA can be any person. It can be the same person who is team lead of developers. The BA can be the project manager. So it's just a tag, you can say, BA, business analyst. Now, next question is when you are done with the requirements. Yeah, this question is generally asked whenever we gather requirements, when we can say our requirement gathering is done. Okay. So for this, what you will do, you will try to collect information from different sources. Don't stick to any one source of information, just gathering information from your client and that's done. No, that is never done. You have to explore over internet what are the, who are your competitors, what they are providing, how you can make your product look different. So all these things you have to do lots of research. You have to find out. Now, when you think like, okay, we have enough information, and with this information, we can develop the expected and a unique product, okay, which will increase our business value. And that point you can say, okay, our requirements are enough. Now, the next question is, what do you see as the key strength of a business analyst? Okay, so key strength of a business analyst is already discussed. The communication skills, the analytical skills, okay, the logical skills, you can say, the learning skills, and the experience, and whatever we discussed. So all these skills are the strength of a business analyst. Hello everyone, here we will discuss some more questions that can be asked from business analyst interview. So first question is, what is the relationship between user stories and test cases? Okay, so that is your user stories for travel portal. That is a flight reservation portal. Now this is your test cases written for the travel portal. Now for what's the relationship between user story and test case is that you have to write test case for every user story. You have to make sure, like in your test script, you have written code for everything which is asked by customer. Okay, so this test case, it's a document based on which you will be performing your testing. So every user story needs to be covered here. So this relationship is very important. What is the relationship between use case and test cases? Okay, so it's our test case diagram, test case document, you can say, complete sheet. And this is your use case document. Now what's the relationship between use case and test cases? So you can see, test cases. By this test case you can understand, okay, like what user wants and what we are testing. By this use case you can get a more clear picture, like what your system is responding and how it should respond. Okay, because here's it shows the interaction between different actors. The actors can be the payment company, the flight reservation companies, the customer. There are different actors, how they are interacting with system. Everything is shown here in this use case. Okay, and the test cases returned for the requirements is present here. What is the use of RTM for tester? RTM stands for Requirement Traceability Matrix. Now this requirement traceability matrix, it's a kind of document. So you can say it's just a document which work as a map between the user requirement and the test cases. Okay. See, we have two separate documents. One is user requirement, whatever is stated by or said by a user, it's written in this user requirement document or user stories. Now, for this user story, we develop a test case. Okay. A test case report. Now, there is a probability that any requirement is missed. We missed or we forgot to include any requirement in our test case script. Then there is it will be very difficult for us to find out like which requirement is missing. Okay. So for that, we have a mapping document that is called as requirement traceability matrix. Here we map the requirement stated by the customer and the test cases. For every requirement, we give a requirement ID, the requirement statement, then we map it with the test case. Along with that, we write test case ID and the test case name. Now, by directly looking at it, I can understand test case 00 is here, 003 is directly coming. Where is 001? Test case 01. So test case 01 is here. All right. So like this, you can directly go and understand, okay, which test case is missing or which requirement is missing. So it provides a clear mapping between the user stories and the test cases. And the next question is, what is UAT? UAT stands for user acceptance testing. Now, once your product is developed, you have to test it in the real environment. Okay, this real environment is called as user acceptance testing. It is of two types. One is alpha testing, another is beta testing. Whenever you give your developed product to somebody outside your team, okay, and he is testing your product in the real time environment, that is called as alpha testing. Now, when we give our product to some of selected customers, okay, they will test it, and based on their feedback, we can go with the improvements, and then we can deploy it to the complete public, and we can deploy it for everybody. So this type of testing is called as beta testing. So in simple terms, you can say user acceptance testing. It's a real-time testing where you test your application in the real environment. So all these questions can be asked from testing section. Hello everyone, here we will see what questions can be asked from, you can say, requirement creation. So first question is, how would you transform business requirement to functional requirement? Okay, so it's a job of business analyst to collect all the requirements. Now the collecting requirement is not a single activity. Like here, it is done in various ways. First of all, you have to interact with your client. It can be face-to-face conversation or any kind of conversation, but this conversation is not enough. Other than this, a business analyst have to gather information, have to gather requirement from different sources, like from seminars, you can say, over internet, from some business research, and lots of things are there which a business analyst have to consider. Okay, now based on that, a document for requirements is formed. Okay, now how would you transform business requirement to functional requirement? We have a business requirement document. Now, out of that business requirement document, we have to find out the functional requirement. We have to take out the functional requirement. So it's very easy and simple. From that business requirement document, you have to leave business related terms like the cost of the system, due risk, and all this. Whenever we talk about the functionality of the system, that all comes into functional requirement. Take out everything related to functionality. Now, next question is, what did you include in BRD, business requirement document? So in business requirement document, we have to include everything related to business, that is functional requirement, non-functional requirement, your business requirement, and your project scope, and the softwares needed, and your use case. You will write constraint also, like what constraint you are taking, and what thing you are not considering. Like constraint is like for payment we are dependent on third party. Okay, now the condition is that if the third party is making any mistake, then we are not responsible for it. So all these things are written in business requirement document that you can directly go and get here. Go to training portal. Under mentorship you will see a section as travel portal. So you have to open this travel portal. There is BRD section, BRS or BRD, business requirement specification, or the document. Both are same thing. It will show you information about the project. Okay, project stakeholders, the assumptions, the constraint, the requirements. Here we have scalability, finance related information is also included here. Now the next question that can be asked is, what did you include in FRD, functional requirement document? So in functional requirement document, we keep everything related to our requirements only. The direct requirements or the direct conditions put by your client. All the functionalities that are must for your application that are noted down in this functional requirement specification or functional requirement document. Okay. What are the internal conditions? Like if you say login logout property, then what are the constraints that we are putting? The color, the footer size, the you can say align, left align, right align, the font size, the type, and everything is stated in this functional requirement document. Now, what did you include in SRD, software requirement specification, or the document? In this, we store information related to software. Okay, the version that we want. Okay, the approach that we'll be working on. So let's see the like project scope. You will write here features in detail. Okay, the screenshots are here. User classes and characters, what classes, the assumptions and the dependencies, the system failure and what condition system can fail, the hardware requirements, the software requirements, the communication interfaces. Okay, the use case diagram is also included here so that you can have a direct and the clear picture of what the conversation is going between different actors, and what are the different actors here, and what how they interact, what is the process, complete process you can see there. Now how to write use case. So use case, see, it's a two type of thing. One is you can create a diagram as well as you can create a document type. And use case, as I'm defining from a, as I'm saying from a long time, use case here, it depends on actors. You have to find out who are the different category of people who will directly or indirectly get affected, or who are directly or indirectly involved in your this complete project. If we talk about travel portal, here we have flight company, the banks, the administrator, and the customer. These are the four actors. And the each phase of process, like login, register, check for availability, the book ticket, choose seat, pay and book, update flight, all these are your processes. So you will show the interaction between different activities of the processes and the different actors involved in this complete process. That's about the use case diagram. If we talk about use case document, here you will show the, it's more like the conversation between the actor and the system. Okay, the actor will type the URL in the browser, and the system will display this home page. Okay, so all this information is written the use case. The next question is, explain various use case which you develop in your project. You can define whatever use case you have developed. If you have not developed any use case, you can give an example of travel portal, and you can try to create a use case diagram for IT Learn 360. What are the various sections of use case, various sections that a use case contain? So use case contain lots of things like the processes, the interaction that is shown by arrows, and it contains actors also. Other than that, it will show you the system interaction, the system information, how things are interacting, what steps actor will take, and what the response the system will show. So it contains lots of things. The use case is very important. The use case ID, the use case name, the created. Now, how to write user stories. See, how you will be writing user stories. For user stories, you need user requirements. Okay, you need requirements. Now, You'll be writing the requirements and you have to find out the acceptance criteria. What condition this criteria, on what condition this requirement will be fulfilled. Okay. So you have to give the requirement with the acceptance criteria, and this is how you can create a user story. Explain various user stories which you developed in your project. You can take a reference to this diagram, which is uploaded on our travel portal. Not on travel portal, which is about travel portal, on training portal. It says, as a customer, I want a flight booking portal for to book flight from home. So acceptance criteria is the portal should be available. I want a login form, then login form should be there. Okay. So all these questions can be asked from this section. Hello everyone, here we will discuss questions related to requirement validation. So first question is, what are the features of good requirement? When you call it a good requirement, see, your requirement should be easy. Okay, it should be written in the simple language. It should be self-explaining. All right, it should be short, precise, to the point. So these are the features of a good requirement. Now, how will you validate your requirement is good or correct? As we discussed, a good requirement is simply, it should be easy, straight, to the point, and should be written in the proper way, so that anybody who will read it can easily understand. Should be self-explanatory, less time consuming. Now it should also be able to fulfill the goal. Like, it's like what client is trying to say, that should be defined by that user story. Okay, defined by the requirement. What is RTM? RTM stands for requirement traceability matrix. It's like it's a document which work as a map between the user story and the, you can say, the test cases. Okay, we have user stories or the list of requirements. For every requirement, there's a requirement ID. Now for every requirement, we have to create a test case. Now there is a possibility that we missed any requirement for which test case is not written. So how we will map it? So there's a document called as requirement traceability matrix. And how it looks like, let me show you. Requirement traceability matrix. Your requirements are mapped with the test cases. How will you store, manage, and share your requirements? So see, you have to share your requirements in different formats, like what kind of requirement it is. First of all, every requirement is to be collected from different sources. Okay, each and every point you have to cover. Now you have to like divide your requirements in different forms. Like business requirement, you have to separate the functional requirement, the software requirements. Then you have to create the separate documents that you can store and you can share with your team members. And you can create various diagrams, also UML diagrams, which can easily explain, okay, what's going on. How do you check a requirement is testable? For every requirement, we have to check how critical it is, how important it is. If it is important and critical, that means it is to be tested. Another thing is, along with, whenever you look at a requirement, you start thinking like how you will test it, what will be the approach. Okay, so the requirement, if it is accepted, that means it will be acceptable also. So all these questions can be asked from this section.